Awesome. We'll give it just a minute for people to log on. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Happy August 20th. So it's Tuesday. We just discovered this morning that it is almost September. That was a really surprising factor. I don't know if anybody else on the webinar today the summer has flown by. So I hope everybody's ready with their fall campaigns because it is almost here. Pumpkin spice has made it to the shelves. We are pushing summer out the door, ready to go.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome, everyone. I'd love to know where everybody's logging in from. If people want to drop where they're logging in from in the chat, I'm always curious. I know we have quite the spread here. Lisa, you're in Canada, correct?
I am. Absolutely, Ontario, Canada.
So we've gone international today. Perfect.
Sure have.
Awesome. We are all over the borders. We've got Texas, South Carolina,
Utah, North Carolina. Look at that. Awesome.
I think we've hit pretty much every corner of the United States, at least. Well, awesome. I don't want to take up too much of our time on the beginning end, so I'll go ahead and kick things off here.
I would just like to say I did see somebody else from Canada.
I was going to say, is Florida on there? I didn't see.
Montreal is there.
I think it's just me and you, Michelle.
Oh, that's okay.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Danny Clough. I'm the channel marketing coordinator over here on the QGive team. Today, I'm joined by Brendan Smith from QGive's business development team and Michelle Haudrich and Lisa Davenport from Over the Edge. Today, they're going to be sharing the power of Over the Edge's urban rappelling events to help you better engage your community and raise more. A few house notes before we begin today. We are recording this webinar, so all registrants will be receiving an email tomorrow with a link to the slides and the recording, as well as a few additional free resources to help you on your fundraising journey. As we go out through the webinar today, you can chat with Michelle, Lisa, Brendan, and I in the chat area, which many of you have already found. And if you have any questions, we want to hear them, so add those into the little Q&A area, and we'll get to those at the end of today's webinar. If you have any issues with the Q&A area, you can also put those in the chat, and I'll make sure to make note of that for Michelle and Lisa. And then for anybody who may have missed it, we had some big news over here on the QGive team. This year, we joined the Bloomerang team to offer a modern giving platform that puts relationships at the heart of fundraising. This combined solution unifies your donors' activities, giving you the power to acquire new donors, cultivate impactful relationships, and maximize the potential of your donor communities. So we're super excited. If you have any questions about that, reach out to our team at any time. We'll talk you through anything you want to know. And then, of course, I can't miss the opportunity to refer you to our wonderful partner network, one of the newest partners being Over the Edge, who we've got with us today. Their urban rappelling events have helped nonprofits across North America raise altogether, I think, more than 142 million. I think that number may be higher. So it is higher. So helping nonprofits raise so much money for their missions and really helping them get their communities involved. And I'm really excited that they're going to have this opportunity to share their offering with you all today. And of course, we can't kick things off without me telling you a little bit more about these two incredibly brave individuals. If you can't tell by their headshots, that give me the heebie-jeebies a little bit because my fear of heights is kicking in. Lisa and Michelle come to us with a lot of experience and knowledge about fundraising and have taken their passion and are helping nonprofits like yours every day harness the best that they can of the peer-to-peer fundraising style. If you're a note taker, they're going to be sharing a lot with us today, lots of stats, lots of wonderful information, so make sure you get that out. And I'll hand things over to Lisa and Michelle to get us started.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Danny. We really appreciate it. I know
I'm going. Hold on.
No, that's okay. I know you were going to share your screen, Michelle, but before Michelle, while you're doing that,
the right screen,
honestly,
and then we'll be good to go.
Yeah. I honestly just wanted to take the opportunity while Michelle's working on sharing her screen so that we can get you through this webinar, the webinar slides. I just wanted to say, hey, I wanted to say hello. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad that you've been able to put your locations in the chat. If you want to keep them coming, I do see a few more people from Canada, so I'm super excited because usually I'm the only one. I would say probably 90% of the events that we do are in the US. So we tend to work with a lot of US nonprofits, even though we are based Our head office is based in Canada. We do have offices and locations in the US. Of course, we've got our location in Georgia as well, but keep them coming. I'd love to see where you're coming from. I believe, Danny, you do have mics muted, but I know that we're going to have the opportunity to have a Q&A at the end. We would like to thank our partners at QGive for providing us this opportunity to present this webinar to you for free, which is awesome. And of course, we'd love to thank all of you for joining us today. We really appreciate your time. My name is Lisa Davenport. As Danny said, I'm the Growth and Strategic Partnership Rep over at here at Over the Edge. And I'm joined today by Michelle Haudrich, our account manager. Say hello, Michelle. Say hi.
Oh, hey, sorry. I realized you were still introducing yourself, so I went back to that screen. Hello, everyone. It's nice to meet you. I am an account manager here at Over the Edge, and I have been with Over the Edge for 7 years. Prior to that, I was all of you. I was a nonprofit representative, and I planned an Over the Edge event and literally fell in love with the process and what this event stands for. So I asked them if I could work with them. So it's been a great opportunity, and I love getting to help other organizations. And that number that Danny had mentioned is now up to over 145 million that we've raised to help nonprofits. So thank you for being here today. I look forward to answering any questions as we go.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle. So we're going to take a look at, we'll quickly breeze through our agenda at this point. There's lots to talk about today. We'll review what you're going to gain from this session today, and then, of course, move right into what the future of fundraising might look like. We'll talk about the need for unconventional fundraising strategies and what that looks like. Of course, we're going to talk about why Over the Edge. We'll share a few samples of success and talk about our lifetime impact, because that's something that we're incredibly proud of over here at Over the Edge. And then at that point, I'm going to throw it over to Michelle to talk to you about what it means to engage your community, why that's important, different fundraising strategies for peer-to-peer fundraising. We'll talk about what it means to embrace collaboration and how we've used that in this past year to ensure partners' success, and expanding on that donor base, which is a biggie. We all know how big that one is. We're going to talk about inclusivity and safety. And then, of course, we'll get to a Q&A session. So I hope you are ready. Let's jump right in. All right. So what are you going to learn from today's session? I don't know why this is so big on my screen, Michelle. I think it's just my screen. But anyways, there we go. It's because I had the chat open. I'm not chatting with anybody just yet. What are you going to learn from today's session? First of all, we're going to chat about the need for something different, and also wanting to explore what discussion, that discussion around creating experiences. We know how important experiences are in our own lives. It's just as important to ensure that our community receives memorable experiences. If you're wanting them to engage with you and return as donors, then sorry, if I'm trying to make sure I'm watching both screens and going through my talking points at the same time, so I apologize. If you're wanting them to engage with you and return as donors, that's something that's really, really key, and I want to make sure that we hammer that home to you today. We're going to talk about community engagement, of course, because that's what's really going to ensure that that happens, the importance of maximizing that, and how to effectively attract participants, donors, sponsors, and volunteers to your events, and how to ensure that all of those people are passionate about what you're passionate about. You're also going to learn the importance of not only safety, but what should be important to every single nonprofit, which is inclusivity. That is something that we never want to miss the mark on, so we will talk a little bit about that today as well. All right, next slide. So we all know that the future of nonprofit fundraising looks a little bit different than it has in the past. Of course, the nonprofit sector is constantly evolving, just like every other sector, but it's becoming increasingly difficult to stay ahead of the curve. And those nonprofits that are really engaging in their community by providing something a little bit different and providing something fresh and engaging are the ones that are going to embrace that change and get ahead. We also know just how important authentic storytelling is. If you're asking your community to engage with you, and if you're wanting to attract new donors, you need to be able to provide them a story and provide them a reason to be emotionally invested in your mission. There are so many nonprofits out there, guys, so many fundraising events, which means that your community, your donors, have plenty of options when it comes to who and what they want to donate their time and money to. So how do you stand out in that crowd? These storytelling moments will continue to be crucial to inspiring action for your mission. And we know from past experience that if you're successful in tying your mission and your passion to your fundraising event, you will see success because your community will be invested. So shift from that transactional giving to actually providing your community something to feel proud of being a part of. Share your success and your impact with the most important people to your organization, and you will see them come back again and again. The last thing we know about the future of nonprofit fundraising is that the way in which donations are made and who is making them is changing. So on the next few slides, I'm only going to spend a few minutes on these next slides, Michelle, because I know that there have been amazing deep dives into the statistics of giving. In fact, I know QGive recently provided a really great webinar on key findings from the 2024 Giving USA report. Michelle, I think you joined that session. It was pretty great, right?
It was amazing.
Yeah, always a lot of really
saved
good
it.
information. What's that?
I saved it.
Ah, good. That's good. I'm sure all of you did. So I know that those types of information sessions and webinars are around. So I don't want to spend a lot of time, but I do want to talk about what has been found from these reports, from Giving USA as well as Fundraising Effectiveness Project. Both sources will be linked in the chat when I get a moment. I'll do that when I hand it over to Michelle. As much as I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, you can't disregard it because it's too important to not talk about, because it's why we're here today. So in this first slide, when we take a look at the report that came out of the Fundraising Effectiveness Project in association with AFP, the fourth quarter of 2023 saw challenges. So with year end typically being the busiest giving season, the fourth quarter actually saw declines in number of donors, down 3.4% year over year, dollars raised down 2.8% year over year, and donor retention, the big one. I know that one's really important to everyone. That was down 2.5% year over year. So this type of universal decline in all fundraising metrics is a good indication that there are significant challenges for nonprofits to overcome in order to strengthen the ties to their communities. Nonprofits need to start emphasizing effort on engagement and connection to their community. Then we move into the first quarter of 2024. Looks promising, right? A little bit. While total dollars raised increased by 4.1% year over year, the number of donors decreased by 1.3% and donor retention declined by 3%. The good news is that while long-term declines in charitable giving trends remain, the amount they decrease by each year is decelerating, which is good. The bad news is that with large donors being responsible for the increase in dollars raised, the reliance on those donors create a problem. Micro-sized donors, so those are the donors who are giving less than $100, show the largest drop, decreasing by 10.4% year over year, while all other donor categories declined somewhere between 5.2 to 0.8 modestly. But this indicates that nonprofit organizations are failing to attract and retain those smaller donors. These donors account for nearly 75% of the top line decrease in donors. That's a problem. We can't forget about these donors. So on this next slide, thanks, Michelle, we're going to take a brief look at the findings from that 2024 Giving USA report, which shows the impact of inflation when looking at growth of decline rates by source or subsector. So when you take a look at this, it's really interesting because what's not shown in this pie chart is that 3 out of the 4 sources, so of course we have individuals, foundations, bequests, and corporations. 3 out of the 4 sources of giving research by Giving USA showed declines after adjusting for inflation, even when all 4 sources experienced growth in overall giving. The only source that actually grew was given by bequests. Even though it's a modest 8% of all annual giving, it is the only source that saw growth even with inflation, albeit small growth. It was something like 0.6. But there continues to be value in legacy giving. On the next slide, we're going to take a look at subsectors. So 3 out of the 8 subsectors. So originally we were talking about source. Now we're talking about subsectors. 3 out of those 8 research saw declines after adjusting for inflation. The largest decline happening is in the health sector, really highlighting the effect of rising costs in this sector. Foundations as a subsector saw the highest increase in giving, even after inflation. The variability in these growth rates across sources and sectors tell us just how important it is to diversify funding streams. Reliance on a single source creates a huge risk. I know that's not news to everyone. Okay. All of this research, all of the data, the statistics, they all tell us the same thing. We need to start doing something different. We need to provide our community something different. We know there are 3 major pillars to fundraising success, and that's funds, of course, it's awareness, and it's your donor base. By doing something different, you can increase all 3, and all 3 will work together to create a stronger foundation for your future fundraising. So let's talk quickly about awareness. Local media loves our events. Why? Because it's something different to talk about, and they want to be a part of that too. That's why we urge every one of our partners to ensure they access local media, not only leading up to your event, but get them involved in your event as well. We have media harnesses so they can get on the rooftop, catch the excitement up there. A lot of the time we can get them down as well with their cameras. But think not only local media, but all forms, including the reach that you can make in both online and offline impressions with something so unique. One of our partners actually provided a media evaluation from their event, and it hit $2.1 million, guys, in earned impressions. Think about how that can dramatically increase the awareness of your nonprofit and its mission. Now let's talk about donors. We're going to stick on this slide for a little bit because I'm going to chat with you for quite a while on this. Donors is the next pillar. While we love statistics and we can and will share with you our own numbers that make us proud, there's no number that makes me more prouder than 58. Michelle, do you know what that is?
I do not.
Okay, you're going to. You do know it. 58%. Our partners in 2023 saw 58% new donors. You do know this. Sometimes I bring it out in this call because for me, it's really important because that tells me that what we're doing is working, right? So if you're receiving 58% new donors just from our events, how? By offering something different. I'm going to hammer this home. I'm going to repeat it as many times as I can today. Everyone's doing a golf tournament. Everyone's doing a gala. Are those donors that have supported those traditional type of fundraisers going to support your very unique urban rappelling event with Over the Edge? Of course they are, because they know you, they understand your mission, and they're going to want to continue to support you, of course. But the most amazing thing happens when you offer something different. You're going to reach people that just want to do this because it's a pretty fun thing to do. And that is where your new donor base comes from. That's also the magic of peer-to-peer fundraising. The donor base continues to grow with each new participant that signs up. So you're reaching them, but you're also reaching their friends, their family, their coworkers and peers. That's how this works. If you aren't doing peer-to-peer fundraising right now, you're definitely missing out. How this works is if someone wants to have the opportunity to rappel down a building in your community, and my goodness, what more exciting bucket list item could you even offer? They need to earn it. They need to raise money for your organization in order to unlock that opportunity. They'll have a goal that you, the nonprofit, sets for individuals. We'll provide you guidance in that, but typically we see it set around $1,000. Once the participant hits that goal, they will unlock the opportunity to rappel on your event day. That's how it works, as simple as that. And then, of course, you'll have access to their information for future campaigns, as well as the information of every single person that donated to that one participant. What better way to gain additional leads for future campaigns than peer-to-peer fundraising? So funds, of course, is the third and final pillar. And if you do well with the first two, the funds will come. And we have so many great ways for you to ensure you're continuing to increase those funds. And I know Michelle's going to touch on some of that in a few minutes. But I will let you know our average funds raised in 2023 per event was $118,000. We have nonprofit partners, of course, that don't hit that, of course. And then we have partners that well exceed that every single year. And by the way, we have partners that have been with us for 15 years standing, going on 16 years. This is something that we love when it continues to happen year over year, because you will continue to build and build and build. You'll figure out what works, what doesn't work, and build from there and make it even more exciting. And your community will come back every single year because they're going to be excited to do so. When you finish an event, they're going to say, can't wait till next year. We actually just came out of an amazing event with a first-year partner. I wanted to share that with you. Never done anything like this before. Turned it around in 4 months. By the way, we're usually working 6 to 12 months out on these things. They've never done this before. They walked away with $325,000 on their first event. I was so proud of them. Michelle, I know, was super proud. She worked hand in hand with them during those 4 months to ensure that they got all of the resources they need to make it successful. And our top grossing partner, last year, they made $1.5 million at their event. Okay, that's one single over the edge event. It can be extremely successful if you have the time, the capacity, and the determination to get your team to success. So those are the 3 pillars that I would consider the most important. One thing I will say is we're not telling you to stop doing your traditional fundraisers. I mean, if they're not working, sure, I would say it's probably time to stop. But if it's still working, don't stop. Just make sure you're looking at maybe adding something different to your event calendar. If you've never done a fundraising event before and your nonprofit wants you to start, why start with something that everyone else is doing? The word of the day to ensure we are responding to these changing trends that we looked at, these changing trends in giving, is diversify. You quite simply have to start looking at reaching different donors and doing so in different ways. I attended a session at AFP Icon in Toronto this year. I don't know if any of you flew to Toronto to attend that or not. I didn't get to very many sessions because I was on the exhibit floor with Over the Edge, but I tried to get to each early morning session that I could. And I will say, one of the sessions I joined was led by our friend Clay Buck. Everyone in this sector should know Clay. And he said it best when he said, what's working in fundraising this year? Quite frankly, guys, everything. Everything is working. So don't stop doing what's working. Just start looking at doing different things, because that's the important thing. You need to pay attention and you need to diversify. All right. So what kind of nonprofit partners do we work with? We'll take a look at our second quarter impact. All of them. That's on the next slide.
I know. So I just wanted to say before we moved on, you mentioned 58%.
Yeah.
One of our clients, Special Olympics, New London, you don't even know this, Lisa. Their event is in 10 days and they had to add more time because 55% of their participants were new, and the people that come back every year were upset because there was no room for them. So it's great that they were able, and this is their 13th year hosting with us. So the fact that 13 years later, you're still bringing in half your people are new, is a pretty cool thing to mention.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Michelle. So when we look at what kind of partners we work with, I would just want to say we work with them all. We work with all of them, big, small, mid-size, all different subsectors, from religion to health, foundations, education, societal, every single subsector you saw in the charts from earlier, we've worked with. Our second quarter partners, which you see here, included chapters of national nonprofits like Special Olympics, Youth for Christ, United Way, Habitat for Humanity, Epilepsy Foundation, Salvation Army, of course, as well as regional and local foundations, camps, conservations, and smaller nonprofits offering local services to their community. We do work with a lot of small nonprofits. It doesn't mean just because you're small, it doesn't mean you can't do a large signature event. As long as you have the dedication and the time and the impact, the capacity to try and make that impact, you can make it work. The impact our events had in second quarter surpassed 3.2 million. That's super exciting for one quarter. And then our lifetime impact of 20 years of facilitating these life-changing events, on the next slide, you'll see that has now reached 145 million, like we said in the beginning. That's exciting. 115,000 participants have gone over the edge of a building somewhere in North America for a good cause. And we couldn't be prouder to be able to continue to offer this as a unique way to raise funds, awareness, and donors. With that, I'm going to throw it to Michelle because we've talked a lot already about the what, the why. I know she's eager to talk more about the why and the how. So Michelle, over to you.
Perfect. And I am going to turn my camera off for a second just because between the slides and what I'm going to say, and I'm blonde, so I'm just gonna do this. So what is it about Over the Edge? Lisa just gave you a lot of stats. She let you know what we are, but who are we? And why would you do this? What's a little bit of the why? Why do these buildings and these nonprofit organizations partner with us? And why can we just keep an ongoing event happening in your community? As Lisa mentioned, we've had partners for over 15 years and they're still going strong. So peer-to-peer, fundraising is an element, as Lisa said, you should be using for fundraising to help engage your community. I'm going to quote yet another QGIve webinar, and this was from fourth quarter of last year, but it was fundraising trends to watch in 2024. And number 2 was peer-to-peer fundraising. And so I was also on a webinar just this morning that was talking about how community is everything in 2024. What does community mean? It means having a meaningful interaction and building relationships. And what better way to build relationships than standing on a rooftop preparing to rappel with your supporters? Over the Edge will provide you with examples, tools, templates to assist you with your recruitment, your engagement, and allow supporters to raise funds on your behalf. You can engage your community by creating competitions through the fundraising process. Rappellers can earn badges. They can, you can offer incentives to get them to keep going. And of course, there's always bragging rights that they've raised more money than their friends or teammates. You can also have participants, make videos where they're telling people why they're supporting your organization. And these are, great for you to use as regular marketing tools or social media in general and marketing in general. So I know I didn't necessarily read directly from the slides. I did that because you're going to get copies of the slides post-event. So that way I wasn't reading to you. I was telling you what Over the Edge basically means to me. And oh, look at these lovely pictures. If I was on camera right now, I would look exactly like that picture of me in the bottom right-hand corner because I'd be looking at a different screen. That's why I turned it off. But anyway, why am I showing you a bunch of pictures? Because not only do we provide you with the ideas and the materials, but our other partners do as well. We believe in collaboration at Over the Edge when it comes to our events, when it comes to everything. We host multiple monthly calls where groups can share their ideas, ask their questions, brainstorm, but it's a place for them to support each other. We create these groups based on the number of years they've hosted events. We create them on their geographic location and also the population in the areas that they are living in. We try to group people that are planning the event in similar situations. We want to be sure that everybody can learn something new for each session. We also have an online community for everybody to use. Speaking of community, this consists of current clients and some past clients. And again, it's there so that 24 hours a day, they have the ability to ask questions or share something that is working really well for them. Or if they're having challenges, to ask for assistance from, all these other nonprofits that are doing the same thing. We also connect nonprofit partners with another group. So once somebody decides to sign on, we give them options of other events to visit. That way, once you see it, it's like something clicks and you fully understand what the urban rappelling events are with Over the Edge. So it also allows you to meet another group that is in the planning process as well. And then so far, one of my favorites, it's the picture. If your screen's the same as mine, if you're looking at your screen on the left-hand side, I'm the person in the green shirt that's cut off because it's a really bad picture. That's just a side note. But we in April hosted a mini boot camp in Evansville, Indiana, before an event happened. We had nonprofits coming from multiple areas in the US. There were people from Florida, North Carolina, we had Ohio. Sorry, I'm looking at the picture to see Indianapolis or Indiana and Arizona all came out and joined us. Not only did these attendees gain information about their own peer-to-peer fundraiser, but they also shared ideas about other events and gave each other other ideas, and they're still talking and collaborating today. We want to help you grow your network while also having a successful and profitable experience. All right, what has come on these calls that I mentioned? Some of the ideas that have come out of the group calls are ways to engage your rappellers, ways to reward your rappellers. One of the things that came out of it was the photo again on the left-hand side. That is a postcard that was actually shared from Learning Quest in Modesto, California. They were having a little bit of trouble recruiting people. So what they did, Lisa's showing them to you, or she did. They had a little trouble recruiting people at the beginning, so they kind of took a spin and wanted to make it more of a game to recruit people. They kind of compared it to the ice bucket challenge a few years ago, and they started challenging people in their community and businesses in their community. Great news! This worked. This was a great success for them. And not only did those people accept, they started challenging other businesses and other organizations and other individuals. And all of a sudden, people like the police departments, the fire departments that she had been trying to reach out to without having any luck, once the challenge started, they're now not only building teams for her event, they're competing with each other to raise more money. So the point of that was this came out on one of our group calls. She was nice enough to share it with everybody, and now a few other groups have picked up on it and are doing this as well. So that was kind of a cool thing that came out of it. And then also honoring your participants. So this is some finisher medals. A lot of our groups will do it so that when their feet touch the ground again, they will have somebody that has benefited from their organization, literally, and I'm making movements now like you can see them, present a medal to them and putting it on their head like, it's the Olympics and they won something. I know a lot of Make-A-Wish organizations will have the Wish children present the awards, and Special Olympics also has athletes present them. And it's just, you go out and run a 5K, and I run, and so I know that people run races just to get the medals sometimes. It's going to be a lot harder for me to rappel off of a building. I want that medal at the other side. So it's just another way to help, keep people engaged and keep things in front of them about your organization. But the most important thing you can do with this event is tie the event to your mission. Yes, Over the Edge is a cool experience. Yes, it's not every day that you get to rappel off of a building in your community, but they need to know why they're doing it. They will come back year over year because they are helping your organization. So use this event to grow your relationships with your donors and your sponsors, your media, and your community. All right, there's a lot of words on this one. So, offering something different and increasing your donor base. You definitely, Lisa had mentioned doing something different. Over the Edge is unique. So that gives you something to talk about right off the bat. That's a conversation for members of your community, your donors, your current sponsors, your new sponsors. When you align urban rappelling events with your mission, your appeal to your target audiences, you can create something that can become a staple for your organization and your community. considering partnering with local businesses. You know, this is truly a one-of-a-kind opportunity in most communities. This event can also create a buzz and publicity. Lisa mentioned the media, I almost said mentions, but the impressions that people are receiving from these events. The number one, again, thing you can do is tie your mission to everything. The goal of this event is to grow your donors, to grow your supporters, and to grow your footprint in the community. So make sure you take advantage of that. And yes, leverage the novelty of the rappel, because it's pretty cool to drive, every time you drive by that building or you walk into that building, you're going to look up at that roof and realize that you were standing on top of it and you rappelled. It's a really cool feeling. So then, you know, also engaging, you know, new demographics. Design your fundraiser to appeal to demographics that aren't typically engaging with your organization. Yes, we want your staple people, but we want you to grow new donors. So this could be going after younger generations or the adventure seekers or different corporations and having them create team building experiences. So all kinds of things you can do. And then ultimately cultivating long-term relationships. We want you to use this to, again, open the door to teach people more about your event. So, and I'm sorry, because every time I do this is when I have to then move my mouse, which is that big green mouse that we have. Oh, my favorite part. Now the question that everybody asks. You say, I'm going to host a rappelling event. And they say, are you crazy? What do you want? What do you mean? You want me to rappel off of that building? I don't get it. And it can't be safe. But guess what? Over the Edge is safe. We've hosted over 1,500 events. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary this year, and that is a lot of rappellers. So, you know, at every event, we utilize OSHA's standards for rigging. Our technicians are all SPRAT certified. And what is SPRAT? Because I didn't know before I was a part of this organization. It stands for Society of Professional Rope Access Technicians. You know, and to quote some of our tech team, the rappelling is safer than you driving your car to the event. One story that I wanted to share, because this just happened at one of the recent events I was a part of. There was an 11-year-old girl, and she was so excited. She was rappelling with her dad, and they were getting ready. She picked the theme. They were wearing 80s clothes. She had a little tutu on. He was wearing fluorescent orange and yellow. And they got all geared up and they got ready, and she was so excited, and she practiced, and then she got to the edge and she froze, which that happens. And she was very nervous and she was worried and she was crying. And I'm not going to lie, her father kept saying, you know it's safe, keep doing it, and we had to tell the father to kind of be quiet. And we knew she wanted to rappel. Like, she kept telling us, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. So our tech team stood there with her at the edge and talked to her and comforted her and waited until she was ready. And she did the rappel. And I'm not going to lie, I raced down the stairs, down the elevator, because I needed to be on the ground when she got on the ground. I'm going to cry telling this story. I'm sorry. She was so happy. She was so proud of herself. And later, she ran into that tech. Like, we made sure that she could see him again. And she gave him a big hug and said she would never forget him, and that she wanted to do it because there are kids out there that can't. And, you know, that little girl will be able to face a lot of challenges in her life because she knows that she stood on that roof and she faced her fears. So that's what Over the Edge does for your community. I am so sorry. To go on one of our nonprofit.
Honestly, no need to apologize, because that just shows exactly why we do what we do. You are so passionate about what you do. So thank you.
It's amazing. But one of our nonprofit partners also quoted that the Over the Edge events are like a family reunion each year. It's a time that the building, the nonprofit, the community, and Over the Edge all come together in person. And in this case, they're raising awareness and money through rappelling. But, you know, so not only is this a unique experience, an emotional experience, you will see every emotion on that rooftop, just so you know. It is also inclusive. And I know Lisa mentioned this, but our events are designed to be inclusive. We know that your organizations are helping all types of people, and we want them to be a part of this event. So we've had people rappel from the age of 9 to 103. So when I'm 103, I want to be rappelling. I will tell you that right now. But we've had people in wheelchairs rappel. We've had people with prosthetics, visually impaired participants. We've had people facing mental and physical disabilities. You can even have your favorite mascot rappel. Basically, almost anyone can rappel, and Over the Edge and our tech teams will work with you before the event to create a plan and do everything possible to allow anyone to rappel. And the good thing is if they cannot rappel, you can offer them a virtual rappel where you can take a recording the day before your event of the rappel of your building, and they will be able to experience it, you know, almost the same way as somebody standing on the rooftop. So we want to have you be able to include everybody that you are helping. So we hope to see all of you at a, you know, rappelling off of a building in your community soon, to raise funds and awareness for your event, knowing that it is completely safe. So if you'd like more information about hosting an Over the Edge event, if you would like more stories that make me cry or laugh, I'm more than happy to share them. But you can schedule a call with Lisa. You can scan her barcode here. And, you know, we hope that you have questions. I will turn my camera back on. And, you know, anything that you guys need, anything we didn't touch on, anything that you're curious about, we would be more than happy to answer.
I think they might want to talk to you instead of me now.
Lisa will transfer you.
Well, I did not know I was going to have to fix my makeup after this. That was incredible, Michelle. I mean, really, I had to clean my glasses. Thank you, seriously. I
Oh,
know
Brendan,
a few
you
folks.
just wait. I don't think we've had you out yet for an event, have we?
Not yet. Not
We
yet.
need to get you out so you can experience that emotion.
I feel you. I definitely do. I know, you know, just to attest to some of the things that you all were talking about. Sorry to jump right in, but I know, you know, downtown Lakeland does an event every year, and to speak to that media buzz, I mean, it's great. It truly builds a buzz in the entire downtown area, and then you've got businesses asking about it, and that drives the attention that the organization's looking for. So it's definitely an attention grabber. Not every day that you see the tallest building in a downtown area with people flying down it pretty consistently throughout the full day. So yeah, just wanted to call that out. But thank you for sharing that, Michelle. I just had to jump in and kind of tell you, like many folks in the chat did, we appreciate that vulnerability and kind of sharing that experience.
Awesome.
Thanks for listening.
I mean, this is why we do these webinars, so we can share with you all of these wonderful partners that we have, because they truly are. I feel lucky to get to work with people like Michelle and Lisa on a regular basis who are really so passionate about what they're doing, and they want to help you all raise more. There's a whole network of very, very passionate individuals who really want to make sure you guys can raise the most funds for your mission as possible and really engage your community. So thank you again. Can't say that enough, Lisa and Michelle, for taking the time and walking us through all of that today. I know I'm giving it another minute in case anybody has any questions. I know somebody in the Q&A did ask if this is the only type of, I think they said sporting event that you guys do. It is specific to these rappelling events. I didn't know if you guys maybe want to mention any other things that you guys work with nonprofits on.
Would you like me to,
So-
Lisa, or do you want to?
Yeah, you go ahead, Michelle.
Okay. So rappelling is our main function. We're a rappelling company. Some people have add-ons to that. So we do have an event coming up in 17 days in Toledo, Ohio, where they're going to actually climb the building. So some buildings are set up that you can climb them if you choose to. Sometimes we can do a high line, which is where you're almost, it's not a zip line. People confuse it with a zip line. It's slower and you're kind of walking from like rooftop to rooftop type thing. And so those are some of the things that we have. And then the others are, like I mentioned, the virtual rappel, where we actually bring a tripod. So the person is in the air. And we've actually seen people that are doing that, like their feet start moving because it's that real. So those are our main products, because everything is, they're more add-ons to the rappel.
Awesome. Okay.
And just to reiterate on that, because somebody else did say other events, not only sports, just so you know, regardless of the type of event we're doing, it's always going to be attached to rope access. So everything we do is rope access events. So whether it's a rappel, a climb, or a high line, it does have rope access component to it. That is our expertise, and that's what you'd be hiring us to facilitate.
Fantastic. I did see someone ask how much, and I'm sure this can differ, but on average, how much this would cost a nonprofit to run these events.
It does differ for sure. Thanks, Danny. So it depends on the different markets. So we actually look at these in different metropolitan statistical areas. So we go by MSAs based on Stats USA. So dependent on the size of the population in that particular MSA will be determined whether or not we do a full-on signature event, which is 2 days, or we'll do a smaller community-wide celebration in our smaller nonprofit. So always happy to share the cost of both of those. Our largest cost, our largest event, the 2-day signature event, runs $31,500, and that covers the cost of the SPRAT or IRATA certified technicians, the cost of our gear, the cost of getting both to you, so flights, hotels, that's all covered under that. We do have a $10 million insurance policy. So that covers anything to do with the rappel. So if something happens during a rappel and a window gets broken or somebody gets hurt, that's covered under that. Of course, our support from our wonderful team, our client experience team, from people like Michelle, and our technician site safety visits, all of those, that's all included in that. And we do spread it out. So I'm happy to share our payment structure with anyone that wants to jump on a call with me. I can share what that looks like, because we do have a number of moments in time where you can take a look at this. We want it to be as low risk as possible for people in the beginning, for nonprofits in the beginning, as they're going through that journey, to ensure that this does make sense. So we have a number of spots where we take a look at it and say, okay, are you wanting to move forward? Because if not, you've got this portion that can be refunded. Once we get to a certain point, are you still interested in moving forward? If we don't, for whatever reason, have a building connected, then that's a discussion we need to have. Are we moving forward? And if not, obviously, we're not in the business of taking money and not doing an event. So we want to make sure this makes sense for you. So we do have those really important payment structures in place to ensure that it does make sense.
Awesome. Thanks so much for walking us through that. I know that's hopefully helpful. If that didn't answer your question, feel free to
You can always connect with me. Yeah.
Any follow-up, connect with Lisa. I'm sure she can go into more detail with you. I did throw your contact information up there again, just for anybody who may have missed it in the chat. This will also be on those slides that we send out tomorrow. I also want to launch a quick poll for everyone. I know you had the option to opt in to receive more information from Over the Edge when you registered, but I want to give you guys all another opportunity to opt in now that you've heard a lot from Michelle and Lisa, and they've shared their expertise with you.
And while you're waiting for the poll results to come back, I wanted to respond to the anonymous attendee that said, we have a lot of older donors, unfortunately. Then what better opportunity to expand to additional donors, right? What better opportunity to start expanding on that donor base? And first of all, number one, why can't the older donors take part in this? Number two, why not expand on that donor base? If you're looking for a different demographic, even if you're not looking for a different demographic, it's going to come organically.
And as y'all are opting in on that poll, I'll kind of add to that, Lisa. Someone asked earlier if you have to have a peer-to-peer fundraising component to this, and the answer is you should. I mean, to your point, Lisa, not only do we know that across all of our styles of peer-to-peer events that it attracts new donors. We have a number that we can assign to that. On average, our clients see about 300 additional donors that are brand new to their organization that they can then cultivate and pull into maybe that sustaining model or volunteering or just cultivate the relationship in general to see how you can leverage that new person that's come to you through someone who has reached out to them through their peer-to-peer fundraising initiative. So it's a great tool to pair together. We are a preferred vendor of Over the Edge, and we're working with them to help even more clients expand this. And to your points, drive not just the dollars, but the engagement in the community and build that donor base.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. I don't see any new questions coming in. So if there's nothing additional we want to add, we can give everybody a couple minutes back in their day.
Amazing.
Go get our tissues. Clean up a little
stop.
bit.
If anyone would like to cry, I can keep talking. Call me.
Well, thank you
I
all
love
so
that.
much. Seriously, looking forward to working with even more of the folks on the line and clients as they come through.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Really
you so
appreciate the
much.
time today. Thank you.
And thank you all again for joining and taking the time to join us all on this webinar today. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weeks.